Today, we are going to look into, is Christianity secretly gay? I wanted to react to this video. I watched a little bit of it and it it hit me right in the interesting, you know? It's a little react and chat. So get comfortable and let's get straight in.
Environments actually create homophobia and why that happens. So patriarchal societies create male-to-male loyalty bonds, and women exist to support those bonds, to produce heirs, to elevate men's spiritual status. But emotional intimacy, spiritual sacrificial love, moral loyalty are exchanged between men or between men and their male gods. So when Bell Hooks says patriarchy is a love ethic between men, she means that men learn to see other men as the real subjects who matter. Women are background characters in a story written for men, about men, through men, by men. And Christian.
Ouch. That rings true, I'd say. Yeah, women sort of provide the nurturing care and attention and things to boost men up so that men can achieve things, and then yeah, they are always sort of like together.
Especially American conservative Christianity has reenacted that script for centuries. So here are the ways that I think Christianity funnels love towards men and how it overtly undermines women, and then how it gets semi-gay. So first of all the heroes are men, right? The stories are all men. The emotional loyalty runs towards men. The central emotional attachments of Christianity are loving God the Father, loving Jesus the Son, following Paul the Apostle, obeying pastors, elders, bishops,
Yeah, this was always my issue with religions. I grew up without religion, but I read a lot of religious texts. Like, my viewpoint was not present, like, as a woman. It always felt like it was written by men for men, and the woman's perspective, like the female characters are just like 2D characters who are like, they ain't given nothing. They got no sass. They got no personality. They're just there to get impregnated and squirt out kids. For example, if you look at like Hinduism, I mean, I've only just started reading, and I think I'm going to continue reading on Hinduism because I find it really interesting. But you've got freaking badass goddesses or gods in there, like Kali, the goddess of time, death, pure power. Sorry if I get any of these wrong and offend anyone who's Hindu. I've read this on the internet, so I don't know how truthful it is. But you've got Kali, the goddess, who's like, she's got like her tongue sticking out and wears like a garland of skulls, which is pretty insanely cool. She represents time, destruction, ego, death, and liberation. I mean, hell yeah. You've got Durga, the ultimate warrior queen, who rides a lion or a tiger. She rides a freaking lion or a tiger. Need I say more? I don't know about you ladies, but I feel like that's a way cooler representation of women. I can't say that bleeds into the society. I don't know if those strong women necessarily create, a stronger female-led society, but it's just interesting that, patriarchal religions, there's just none of that.
And women, again, are not appearing in the moral imagination except as wives to be led, daughters to be protected, temptresses to avoid, and helpers in the home.
Yeah, I love that they sort of are either the devoted sort of loving wife, or the sexualized temptress, because sexuality is almost sort of demonized in a lot of religion, and the fact that one woman could have both is just like mind-blowing to religious folks, I guess. A woman can be uh, in touch with her sexuality and also, be loving. Like those two can coexist in a person. But no, there's only temptresses and wives, nothing.
I don't really like women. The real action here is male to male. But I'm okay with a woman if they just support me and worship me and do what I tell them to do, and I can have sex with it like a doll, right? Like that is
Oh.
literally.
Gross. It's like if you have an opinion as a woman, if you have any sort of personality that counters that ideal, the quiet, pleasant, worshipping, devoted woman, then you're probably the one that got burnt at the stake, probably. God, would I have been burnt at the stake if I was born? But yeah, but I clearly wasn't, because my ancestors survived, and I bet they were just as rambunctious. Never said that word before.
And argued that patriarchies force heterosexual marriage not because men love women, but because women are a resource, emotional, sexual, reproductive, in a male identified world. So women are a resource, but men are the ones that are in love with each other and are loyal to each other. And it is a male love system with women just as a resource in the hierarchy supporting the male fantasy of the world.
Oh my
and
God.
This is one reason. Does Christianity reserve its deepest forms of love, admiration, loyalty, devotion, spiritual, emotional energy for men while asking women to just serve as supporting characters? And when you look at
just serve and shut up, women. Just make my sandwich and shut up. Just give me all your devotional love and shut it. That's what society says to women. And then you're the hysterical woman if you speak up. You're the crazy woman. That is what you're then plastered as. It's hilarious, actually, and horrendous in so many ways.
We cannot worship the feminine if we need female subordination. You have to have women disconnected from their bodies, from their feelings, from their body, from their intuitions. We tell them that their doubts are from Satan. We tell them to smile and be good girls. They start talking like this. If you see Christian women, they just talk like this, almost like they're a child, right?
It scares me. It's like that. What was that film about the housewives where they're like all robots? Shit, what was the name of that film?
What is this?
What did you do to us?
Control your wives! It's not working!
What's happening? I was in the garden and I was dreaming of your... Then I realized I can do better.
And Christian monks wrote amazing poetry to each other that would read shockingly romantic by modern standards. So some quotes are like, "You are bone of my bone. I burn with your absence. Your embrace is sweeter than wine." So monastic brotherhood was explicitly elevated above marriage.
Monastic fanfic, am I right?
We have Paul's pastoral letters where he uses language like, "My beloved son in the faith, I long to see you, my joy and crown." But for women, he calls them helpers and workers and laborers and sisters.
We're just the labor for their gay love. We're just the labor. Oh my God.
The more a culture depends on intense male-to-male bonding, the more fiercely it's going to police male eroticism. So an example would be ancient Sparta, strong homoerotic bonds plus then strict codes. Victorian England had male homosocial clubs, a lot of panic over homosexuality. U.S. evangelicalism has lots of men's ministries, promise keepers, purity culture, warrior for Jesus, also severe homophobia. This is why the most aggressively homophobic Christian men obsess over masculine purity. They fear softness. They feel threatened by male vulnerability.
In a way, any man that shows any vulnerability in society, any man, especially in a place of power, that that expresses softer sides or vulnerable sides or feminine sides, or that's almost like that's the most rebellious act against the system, in a sense. And any woman that displays strength of any kind or typically masculine traits is also a threat to the system, as is anyone who's in between gender. That is I imagine, a huge threat to the system at hand.
And Christian art is full of like Christ exposing his wounded side, and men caressing Christ's broken body, and Saint John embracing Jesus, and monks swooning in ecstasy.
Oh yeah, the paintings are a bit homoerotic, like, now that I think about it. I mean, you do have women kissing his feet too. But look, he looks pretty intrigued. He does look pretty intrigued. He's looking at the butt right there. He's like, ooh. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh. Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, these were the days before things like Pornhub. Imagine going into a church and you're sitting for hours and hours on end listening to some guy like do a spiel, and you're surrounded by things like this. So you obviously, your mind wanders. You look up at these half-naked male bodies. And she's got a point.
So the next time someone tells you that they are Christian, when they're one of those like terrible white male Christian nationalist types, just say, oh, I didn't know you were gay. That won't bother them at all.
I don't think that calling out a religious person and just being like, oh, you're gay, I don't think that's probably necessarily the way to go about it. I think that would just probably fuel more hatred between people who are religious and who aren't religious. Brit has made a really good video. I don't know if I'd necessarily say that Christianity is gay. I think that would be giving it too much credit as a force for good. I think it's interesting, this idea of societal and religious structure and how it is held up by women sort of, being of service, being in some sense, of service to, the male idolized figure. It's like, fuck that, fuck that is what I would politely say. That's been this talk. Have a great day or evening wherever you are watching Spuds. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm so curious to find out. All the best. Until next time.